Hello there and welcome back to me, Shiva Wilson, and my channel, which as you know is all about legalising adult use cannabis, in the UK as I destroy my kitchen. So today's video is going to be a bit dry, unfortunately, but you may want to put it on like double speed or something if you want to get through it quicker. It's all about cannabis rights and human rights and where the two kind of don't really match up. So cannabis users often face human rights violations in regions where laws are restrictive or punitive, including the UK. So this is from an AI. I've done it on DeepSeek. So if you want to check out DeepSeek, it's quite a cool AI. So below is organized an analysis of key rights that should be universally applied but are frequently denied, and they are structured with explanations and examples. So here we go. The right to health. So there's an issue with the right to health. Criminalization limits access to safe cannabis products, and medical guidance, pushing users towards unsafe sources. Medical users may be denied evidence-based treatments. For example, in countries with strict prohibitions, patients using cannabis for chronic pain or epilepsy lack legal access, risking health complications. 2. The right to privacy. And the issue here is that excessive surveillance, searches or seizures targeting cannabis users infringe on privacy. For example, police raids on homes for minor possession offences in jurisdictions where cannabis is illegal. 3. Freedom from discrimination. What's the issue here? Stigma leads to discrimination in employment, housing or social services, even where cannabis is legal. For example, employers dismissing employees for off-duty legal cannabis use in regions with workplace drug testing policies. 4. Freedom from arbitrary arrest or detention. And what's the issue here? So the issue is disproportionate policing of minor possession, often targeting marginalized communities. For example, racial disparities in cannabis arrests in countries like the US, where black individuals are disproportionately charged despite similar usage rates. 5. Freedom from cruel or inhuman punishment. So what's the issue here? The issue is that harsh penalties, for example, like life sentences for possession, violate prohibitions on excessive punishment. For example, Southeast Asian countries like Thailand previously imposed severe penalties, though some have recently reformed laws. So you've got to think about places like Singapore and the Philippines for that. 6. The right to cultural participation. So what's the issue here? Well, prohibition disrupts traditional or religious practices involving cannabis. For example, indigenous Rastafarians who are criminalized for sacramental cannabis use in nations without religious exemptions. 7. The right to a fair trial. So there's an issue here as well. There's a systemic bias in judicial processes for cannabis offences. For example, overburdened public defenders leading to coerced pleas in low-level cannabis cases. So there you go. That can happen apparently. Right. So 8. The right to work and education. What's the issue here? Criminal records for possession hinder employment and educational opportunities. For example, students denied federal aid in the US due to past cannabis convictions. Number 9. Freedom of expression or conscience. So what's the issue? The issue is criminalizing personal choice regarding, let me guess, cannabis use. Yeah, and it infringes on autonomy. For example, activists advocating legalization face persecution in authoritarian regimes. And it's starting to feel a little bit like that in the UK. So number 10. The right to remedy and advocacy. So the issue is barriers to challenging unjust laws or seeking reparations for wrongful prosecution. For example, limited legal pathways to expunge cannabis-related convictions post-legalization. 11. Protection of family and children's rights. The issue is parents using cannabis medically may face unjust child custody claims. For example, custody disputes where parents use prescribed cannabis despite no harm to children. 12. Freedom from torture and inhumane treatment. What's the issue? Abusive enforcement practices or prison conditions. For example, reports of police violence during cannabis arrests in regions with militarized drug enforcement. There you go. So there's a load of human rights that are being violated against cannabis users. So conclusion, reforming cannabis laws to align with human rights frameworks is critical. Decriminalisation, expunging records, ensuring medical access and protecting against discrimination are essential steps. Advocacy must emphasise that cannabis use, whether medical or recreational, does not justify depriving individuals of fundamental rights. So that's what the AI has to say about human rights and cannabis use. I've been Shiva Wilson. We've been trying to legalise adult use cannabis in the UK. Let's stand up for our rights, our human rights and our cannabis rights, because cannabis rights are human rights. Good night.